Hey guys, we're going to get into this Sevagoth build here really quick. So, I've had some questions about it in the past, and now I've finally dialed it in. Of course, I'd like to get some more Tau Forged Archon shards on here for better values, but you know what? This works, and this is pretty cool. You're going to like this. So, what this focuses on is the Reap and Sow abilities pairing together to make true damage bursts with damage vulnerability, and also utilizing Reeve to hit harder enemies and basically just take them out instantly. What this does is you have Sow and Reap. Now, some people have a misconception about which order you're supposed to cast these in. You will get a lot more benefit from having Sow active and then Reap what you sow. It doesn't make sense the way that they order the abilities, having this is the first one and this is the second one, but that's how it works. So you want to have Sow active and then reap what you sow. You're going to place these death seeds in the enemies, dealing true damage. And then you're going to cast Reap. And the ghost will basically just kind of do a drive-by explosion with damage vulnerability around it. And my range is 11.6 meters damage vulnerability range at 114%. I also run the Shadow Haze Augment, so I get 114% crit chance. And then every time these shadows kill something, they split off and create more of themselves. And each one of them individually has that 11.6 meter radius of radiation damage and damage vulnerability. Gloom I don't really use. It's on the build, and the way I have it modded, I get 80% slow and 11% lifesteal. You know, it is what it is, but I usually just end up running out of energy having this on. Sometimes I might accidentally activate it and I just turn it off. I don't use this for survivability at all unless I'm just kind of memeing around. I'm not really going to ever use this that much. Reeve is more of my survivability tool. It's a nuke ability in one sense, but it's also an oh shit button because, as we all know, Sevagoth is extremely, extremely squishy. I mean, look at that armor, 160. Yeesh, that's terrible. So, with that, let's get into the build. Rolling Guard. Rolling Guard to clear status effects and get iframes to help with casting abilities to convert energy spent into shields and sometimes overshields. Adaptation as well. This is a personal choice. If someone feels more comfortable not running it, don't then run something else. But I have found a lot of benefit of having adaptation and increasing my health with Arcane Blessing. So that just makes the survivability a lot better. And then Reeve can also go ahead and heal me and replenish my shields at the same time. And casting it will also benefit with Brief Respite. Prime Sure-Footed to resist knockdown. Streamline for a little bit of efficiency because I'm pretty much nuking it with Blind Rage, getting that power strength. And then also restoring health with Reeve will give me more power strength. And you are casting so much, you will get this bonus a lot. This is a heavy casting build all the time between these two abilities. And with neutral duration, you don't get a lot of time on this. So you get about 10 seconds duration on So, and then you have 10 seconds duration debuff on Reap, as well as the damage vulnerability, which is your debuff. Shadow Haze Augment, increased critical chance by 50% on enemies inflicted with Death's Harvest. A new shadow emerges from those enemies when they perish. Limit of 3 shadows. Death's Harvest is casted by the shadows as they are moving through the enemies and killing them. So that's what that is. It's also an ability on the Exalted Shadow itself, but I removed that for Reeve because I don't like using it. But these shadows with Reap will cast Death's Harvest when you reap what you have sowed. So that is the confusing part of this augment, but that's how it works. And then my modded crit chance with this is 114% bonus crit chance with all my weapons. Energize for the energy management, as well as Equilibrium, which also helps with health gating. And then pairing with Reeve for more health gating. And then that kind of covers the build on Sevagoth himself. Now, the other trick to this whole synergy, there's a few more, is the weapon we choose to use. Now, I like running my Astilla, Viral Slash, very fun. Not really killing with it as much as you would think as you are priming. Priming with Slash Ticks as well as Viral will give you a really nice bonus when you pair it with the true damage burst of Reap and Sow and damage vulnerability and Reef. The other really big, and probably the weapon I use the most, the big factor of this whole build is the Occucore. Hitting lots of enemies at once, priming a ton of them in an area, and then with that radius that we have on Reap, you're going to hit all of them, no problem, and you're going to melt everything. And we are modding this for viral heat, and it has natural radiation, and we are using the Sentient Surge mod, which we got in one of the previous night waves, increasing your crit chance and status chance by 60% times 4, getting up to 240%. I have a ribbon for multi-shot, toxin, and status duration, which is pretty nice because then that lets my viral stacks sit there longer. I'm able to proc them faster, and I also take care of one of my elements on the build. And then I have Heated Charge on here, the heat being very important for my Topaz Archon Shard, which just adds to my crit chance as I get 1% crit chance stacked up to 50 times when I kill an enemy affected by heat. And then we're using Conjunction Voltage, and you're probably wondering why I'm not using Cascadia Flare. Well, this pairs with the Sentinel, and we'll get to that in a second. Ruinous Extension for the range on the beam weapon, really, really nice to have, and I highly recommend it. Target Cracker for the crit damage, because we're only increasing crit chance and status chance, so getting that crit damage up is pretty nice. It's not going to be hitting extremely hard necessarily, but it is a good additive to have on there. Um, Critical chance with minus fire rate is better than you'd think. So you can run out of ammo with the Aki core fairly quickly, and having a drawback on your fire rate will help conserve your ammo a little bit more. And then, of course, the galvanized mods for damage and status chance and multi-shot, and then cold with the toxin to make viral. So priming with viral, and then casting sow, then reap, and then if you really need to, if something doesn't die or isn't dead already, reaming it, that will pretty much nuke it. And then we'll be getting bonus multi-shot and some extra reload speed if we need it, although with the Aki core we won't be reloading, but with the Astillo, well, I don't think we're going to be getting any bonus with that one here. But we're mostly going for the multi-shot. More multi-shot, faster stacks of viral, faster stacks of heat. It's pretty nice. Aki core will reload on its own with this here, and also its unique trait. Kills generate up to 4 tendrils that lock onto enemies near the reticle. Tendrils reset on reload. So we don't want to be reloading manually, but this will refill 20% of the magazine on its own, and you'll be killing fairly quickly in most tile sets and against most enemies. Some of the enemies we'll be testing on are going to be tankier than usual, just for a tougher demonstration, but we'll see how that goes. And as far as melees are concerned, I like running the Praetos solely for the Incarnans that deal with sprint speed, slide, and parkour velocity. I also get an initial combo bonus, as well as collecting ammo grants combo multiplier to the counter. And this is great because I am running a build for corrosive to deal with acolytes, and I do have blood rush and weeping wounds on here, and then just straight corrosive damage, condition overload, because we're going to be getting lots of status spread and more than just what the weapons are giving. You'll understand why. I'm also running prime pressure point, just more damage, attack speed, and reach. Why not Berserker Fury? Just a personal preference. I don't like stacking my attack speed. I like it to be what it is out the gate. I'm also running melee exposure, which I don't have maxed yet, but more corrosive damage, and this is purely for the acolytes. I melee the acolytes with this build. I don't really shoot them. The reave and the damage vulnerability, all that, isn't really going to nuke the acolytes the way you think it would, so this is my other alternative. Just melee them to death. The damage vulnerability will make this way more potent against them. So when you cast sow, and then you reap what you've sown at the acolyte and get that damage vulnerability close to them, you can melee them with this and it will just absolutely disintegrate them. It's pretty cool. It just takes them down super fast. And with Sovereign Outcast, you force proc slash on top of that, which pairs well with the damage vulnerability and the viral procs. It's all good. So the other factor to this whole build and all the synergy is the companion. We're going to be running Doriga. Why Doriga? Because of his mod called Arc Coil. Arc Coil will zap up to 7 enemies within 10 meters, dealing electricity damage with a 10% status chance. Seems kind of low. Yeah, I know. It sucks. It will give you those electricity procs because you will be stacking it fairly quickly and continuously. In Simulacrum, I've noticed that this doesn't proc as consistently, but in Mission it does, and it will trigger the conjunction voltage on your secondary to give you that multi-shot. We're going to be running Manifold Bond, and this is probably the most important mod on here. Companion preset mods apply status effects from companion weapons. Killing enemies with 3 or more unique status effects reduces companion ability cooldowns, making this cast faster and take the attributes of the weapon I'm running into effect and proccing all the statuses from that weapon onto the enemies. And you'll be hitting 7 enemies at a time in a 10-meter radius around you constantly. Then we have Contagious Bond. When your companion kills an enemy afflicted with a status effect, spread 50% of that status effect to other enemies within 9 meters. So not only is the option that he can kill enemies there, but when he does, any of the statuses or one of the statuses that has killed those enemies will spread around more consistently. And then we're running Mystic Bond to get free energy casts. This is really important and really nice because you're going to be casting so often. You constantly, just constant casting. So this is not a build where you kind of just sit there and let it do its thing. No, you got to be moving and grooving. That's why I call my melee that. You're going to be casting abilities, shooting guns. It's going to be fun. Synth Deconstruct and Duplex Bond help with energy and health drops, which pair with Equilibrium really well. And then also, this will clone your companion and let them run around and try and kill things. Momentous Bond, killing Eximus will reduce your companion's recovery in case he goes down, and then also give them extra damage bonuses and elemental damage to them, which I haven't really been able to tell yet, but I'm pretty sure that pairs well and will synergize with this spreading statuses. Vacuum, accelerated deflection for shield recharge and health regen, as well as recovery time reduction. So that is the Dariga, and then the weapon I choose to use is the Artax. And the reason for this is because it has natural cold on the build, increasing my crit damage again. So I'm getting lots of crit chance and status chance with the Aki Core, and then I do have some crit damage modded on. Cold procs will make my crit damage even stronger. And then we're running radiation for the crowd control effects of radiation. We're running corrosive for some slight damage, armor reduction. And then we have cold, and then we get electricity from arc coil. And then I'm spreading viral and heat. So that's heat, cold, radiation, corrosive, electricity. That's a lot. For gun CO and condition overload, my weapons are going to be hitting like a truck. And then I have vigilante mods on to enhance the crits coming from my primary, which I like to run the Astilla on this. And that's pretty much the setup. Let's see if we can get a decent demonstration out of this. As far as the shadow goes, I recommend modding it to be survivable. When you do need to use it to revive yourself, it's nice having this thing kind of set. I don't know if the mods on it apply when you are trying to revive yourself or not, but usually it'll just one-shot whatever enemy you hit. The crappy part about it is the hitbox sucks. So the hitbox on the shadow is terrible when trying to revive yourself, so try not to go down. That's why I have so much survivability built into this. On the chance that you do go down, I definitely recommend having it modded to just kind of hit hard. I don't know how the damage scaling on the revive damage works, but I modded my Shadow Claws and my Shadow for high power strength and lots of damage. Death's Harvest is the ability here for that damage vulnerability, which is what's coming from the first ability, Reap. This is that Death's Harvest that you're seeing in Reap as an ability. So the Reap ability on Sevagoth is paired with the third ability of the Shadow, and that's how that works. I like to run Moderai, just because if I do need to use it for a damage bonus, I have it, and also in hopes of the day that DE finally lets us use Last Grasp with Sevagoth, and also Inaros, because Inaros is meh, but getting a rework soon, thank God. And I would love to be able to use Last Grasp with this frame, because this is ass. Let's be honest, it's ass. It really is. Okay. Let's get into it. Okay, we got some guys. Oh, I set them at level 1 so we can get some Octocore stacks. Perfect. Okay. Group them up. Makes it easier. Okay, that's enough kills. Let's get some real enemies in here. And I like to test on the Exogoxad officers. They have extremely high armor. And for Grineer, they're pretty tanky. You'll never see this many of them in one area ever. So reap, and you can prime a viral, reap again. That's gloom. There. Get that viral and that heat going. So reap. It's pretty much just rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. That's how that works. We can do it again. And if you prime first, you can sow and then reap, and all that viral will just make that damage better. If you want to reave them, there you go. You got viral on them. Look at all those statuses. Between the companion and the guns, you can use the Estella, get those slash procs, reave it. Yeah. And there's one of the little copies doing his thing. Look at him go. Yep, that's the build, guys. So, just as another example, I guess, to show you how potent this actually is when you get it in a full setup. If you are into Void Cascade, which I did test it out, and he's too squishy for it, in my opinion, but have fun. I know level cap cascades are pretty challenging. I've done them myself quite a few times. But you can decimate Thrax with this build. The downside is Void Cascade levels up so fast, and there's so many enemies. The enemy density and the level ramp up speed. Sevagoth can't really, in my opinion, feel very safe in that environment, and I did end up going down after about 25 minutes. And that was after getting my Occucore charged, which I did die. Or I didn't, yeah, I went down trying to charge the Occucore. So those enemies come in running, and they just kind of go right at it as soon as you get there. But viral, sow, reap, reave, and then just kill them with an amp. This would also be why I run the Moderai Focus School, in case I feel like running Void Cascade again, getting more practice with it. I only did run it one time, but it can be very effective in Cascade. I just haven't perfected it for that game mode yet. Yep. Now, unfortunately, you wouldn't want to run the Sentinel setup in Cascade. As you can see, the cold procs are slowing this guy down a lot. Okay, we're out of amp energy. You do not want to run cold at all when you're doing Cascade. That is very important. So I would recommend running like a Panzer Volpophyla, like we used to do. That's kind of the go-to, or at least just don't pick a weapon that will spread cold status, because proccing cold, as you could tell right there on a Thrax, will be devastating to the run, because then you're just waiting around for it to transform, and that reduces your speed and your TTK. So, all right, I hope you enjoyed it. If you got any questions, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks, guys.